Alright, hello and welcome to episode 22, I believe, of my Retro City Rampage Clone in Unity tutorial. Today we are going to be doing car spawning, basically, because up until now there's been like 4 cars just around the edge of the map that came in when I started up the game. But now, as you can see, they spawn dynamically and despawn when you get too far away, because you don't really need them anymore. Yeah, so you can see they're spawning in, or they're spawning in they should just be out of view if you're not in a car. If you are in a car, you might just see them because I've made a goof the distance that they spawn from you. But whatever, that could be fixed by changing the number, so I will leave it for now. So yeah, let's go see how we do this then. Okay, so I'm just going to explain briefly how it works, what I've done. So if you'll remember from a previous episode when we did the civilian traffic, or if you don't, that's okay, we basically have a system where we'll have a point A, we'll have containers marking out where the roads are for civilian traffic. So we'll have a point A and point B, and basically cars will go to a point A, they'll then traverse to point B, and at point B, they will have a link to one or more other traffic storage containers, which will have 2 points each. So you could have junctions or just a straight road or a turn or whatever. And that is how they just randomly move about the map. So on the car spawning, we're gonna look for these and then spawn them at point A, and then to set them so that the container they spawned at is their current one, so they'll move to point B, and then they'll just join the normal flow of traffic. So that's simple enough, but there is a couple of things we want to consider when we are spawning cars. So if I can just type, that'll be easier. That's right. Oh, I don't want to do this. Yes, fine, it'll be bright green, so it. Alright, actually I can change to black. Yeah, okay, so things to consider. No. Alright, so one thing we're going to have to look out for is, are there any cars near the point that we are spawning at, which is simple enough if we have just a list of the currently spawned cars, because there's only going to be, say, 20 cars at one time, because you know how we despawn and respawn and stuff to make it the illusion of an open populated world and whatever. So we'll just basically go through a list and check the distances from this point we're trying to spawn at, and so we also want to check if the point is in the view of the player's camera or within seeing distance. So, because if it just appears out of nowhere, it'll kind of just ruin the illusion and stuff. So, we want to make sure that the point that it wants to spawn at is not near the player. Yeah, that's the theory. So, I think that's it. Yeah, so we should be able to get onto the code now. Alright, now we got onto the code for stuff. Alright, so basically I've written a car spawner script which spawns cars, funnily enough. So basically we first you have to import system.collections.generic, because we are using the list, which is basically an array, but you can dynamically add and take away, and the size will adjust, which is useful for having a list of the cars we have. Yeah, so first off, we have an array, or a static reference to us, just so other scripts can reference the car spawner in case they need to. First, we have an array of game objects called cars we can spawn. These are the prefabs of cars, which I have in a folder. I'll show you. Yeah, so we've got civilian cars, so 3 different types of civilian cars, the red, the blue, and the black, that we can spawn. That was just me testing it with one car, so I'll just get rid of that. Shouldn't need it. We don't actually need these anymore. Actually, the float. I've still got the timer on. Yeah, get rid of that. Sorry. That was just like old code that I didn't need. So basically, we got the transformer player. We got currently active traffic points, which, as I said before, are these little pairs of green and red arrows, which show where the traffic can move to and from. We got the transform of the player, which we use for referencing when we're trying to find a point to spawn them at. And we got a list of the cars that have been spawned by the car spawner. So this is just assigning them. So yeah, that's pretty simple. Then we have if we can spawn as true, so I should probably set that to public so the scripts can use it. So basically, this is just a thing where like you could stop car spawning if you wanted to for some reason. Yeah, so we first find active traffic points. So basically, it'll set the array of currently active traffic points to the objects it can find of traffic direction point container, which is the script. If I can find that. Road markers? No, these are. Sorry. Traffic points. So basically, it contains the. Basically, this is just a container for the point A and point B. So it'll just find all the loaded in ones of them. There's just a train going by. And on spawned car, basically, if the current list of cars we've already spawned is less than 10, or less than or equal to 10, we will try and get a position to spawn. So this is basically a method that returns a traffic direction point container, which just shows the A and B to and from points. Basically, it'll get a random number between 0 and the number of traffic points we have. And if that particular traffic points storage thing is more than 20 in-game units away, so this is basically to assume that the player won't be able to see it in its camera view, then we can use that. So we return it. But if, say, it isn't 20 units away, we'll just return null. And what it does with that is if spawn pos is null, so say it is less than 20 units away, so we don't do anything, we don't spawn a car, and it just rolls around to the next attempt to spawn a car. But if it isn't, so if the spawn position is more than 20 units away, then we do a check, can we spawn at this? So basically this just goes through all the cars in car spawned, and if there are no cars within 2 meters of it or units or whatever, it'll return true, else it'll return false. So if it returns true, so there isn't a car within 2 meters of this point to spawn at, then it will get a random car out of the selection of prefabs we can spawn. And it will set that car's current point container to the one we got from the get random position for car spawn. So once the car is placed in the game, we can it'll just start going. And then we actually create the instance of a car in the world and we also store that in a temporary variable called car. So we cast the instantiate method as a game object, so it returns a game object rather than just a normal object. I don't know why. Well, I do. They're 2 different types, but whatever. So then we put in the car we want to spawn, the first point of the spawn position, like traffic container, point container we had. We just create a new rotation, quaternion.euler, which is basically quaternion.euler allows you to create rotations as just a vector free as opposed to a quaternion. I don't know why you can't just use a quaternion like saying 000, but apparently you have to use a quaternion.euler, which basically just lets you put in a vector free, and that'll be the X, Y, and Z rotations respectively. And then finally, we just add the car to the list. And we also have a public method which we use to destroy the car. So if, this is usually just used in the traffic AI. it's got a destroy when far away method. So if the car is like more than 30 in-game units away from the player, then it'll just destroy the car. But we can't just use game object.destroy or whatever. We use this method, so it'll remove the car from the list as well, so we can create a new car in its place that'll be spawned closer. So yeah, what else do we have to mention that I wrote down here? Try statements of civilian traffic AI. I did a try statement here. Oh, I think it here. Basically, this is I just added a try and catch statement to the traffic AI. So if any like issues have with update any of this all, like say we despawned the point it was going to or the point it was at or whatever, and that would normally throw an error, we can assume that the car is far enough away not to be noticed, and we could just destroy the car. So it just calls the destroy method from car spawner in the car spawner script, which is simple enough. What else? Destroy when far away. I also made point to go to public, so we can assign it when we're spawning cars, which we did here. Current point container is now public. What else? Is it try catch? Oh, so I added this try and catch for when we're in looking for NPCs to lock onto. So it's just in case like there was an NPC and then it got despawned for say like we're searching through NPCs for someone to lock onto, but there was like a reference to one where it had been despawned because it was too far away from the player. Then instead of throwing an error, this is like, all right, we can't find it, so fuck it, we'll do nothing. Right, that's what the try catch is for, pretty much. What else? Flood fill. Okay. For the A-star pathfinding, I just activated flood fill, which basically I think it just rescans the world as it moves, which I don't think it was visible in any of the videos I made, but there was a bug where it would just sort of like I don't know. I think it was just actually moving the markers for the edge of the pavement where it just cut bits off and they spawn and they just moonwalk and it wouldn't be fun. So yeah, that just activate flood fill on it. Yeah, and one last thing. We were getting a bug from, I think it was to do with the A-star pathfinding project rather than something I did, which is kind of refreshing for once, where it would just sort of break at some point because some node it passed was null. I'm not quite sure what it was, or it was out of range, basically an out of range exception. So I think it was under the path handler script. If I can find it. Yeah, it was basically here. I don't know. I wouldn't take this as a proper fix because I don't know if it'll break again or not. But basically, it was returning this, but it would return an out of range exception. So I think it's accessing an array, but it was accessing like one out of the array. So what I did was if we throw an error doing this, it'll think if it's like an out of range exception, it'll basically just reduce the ind, which is the index of the node that it was getting or something, and basically returns that instead. I don't know why it's 2 semicolons, but whatever. Yeah, not a proper fix, but if you have that error, then this is a way around it I had a look at. Yeah, that is the code, and then I will get onto the art. Well, actually, I don't think there is any, because we've already done cars. So yeah, onto the assembly. Okay, so now we're onto the assembly a little bit. Basically, I'll show you how the prefabs and stuff look. So this is basically just one of the cars, and they're all the same, really. It's just the different sprites we had from the sprite script, which... Actually, I'll just spray... Can I get the sprite? Yeah, this is basically just the car sprite sheet. So we got the sideways, diagonals, like up diagonals and down diagonals. These can just be flipped to get the other direction, and they're the down ones, I believe, and these are the up ones, and the side ones can be flipped as well. So that's how the sprites work. And these are just all the scripts. So if you're following along, this is what to have on the prefabs for the cars. And if you say wanted to have a just static car, you just disable the civilian traffic AI, but you'd leave like the enter car script on just in case like an NPC or the player wanted to go into it and whatnot. And you'd leave car health on so it can get destroyed when it's not moving. Now the car spawner script was put on the game controller, is what it was. It's got the 3 cars we currently have, and you can see public arrays and car spawned and whatnot, and can spawn. So yeah, that's the assembly. Is there anything else I need to mention? Oh yeah. One more thing I did was I changed all the point A and point B arrows, and created a new layer called editor only. So we can see them in editor, which will make it useful for like lining them up while you're creating the traffic patterns and whatnot. And you don't have to disable them when you click play and go into the game, because the camera just won't render them. Neither the minimap camera or the in-game actual camera, which is all good. And someone's car's just making an illegal maneuver, whatever. That's fun. So yeah, that was the assembly. Pretty easy. Alright, now just do a quick once-over of the final product. So as you can see, there's cars, they spawn randomly, you can still steal them and stuff, and occasionally there's like little accidents where they'll just nudge and drive on the wrong side of the road, but traffic, right? Just say it's added realism. It's not a bug, it's a feature. So yeah, we can just drive around, and as we go to different chunks, cars will spawn and trains will not fuck off! Sorry. Yeah. So as you can see, we've got civs and cars spawning around us and not spawning in the camera view, which is all good. Yeah. I think I ran those guys over, poor bastards. Anyway, I'll just wait for the traffic to fuck off. Fuck you. Okay, sorry. Just stop swearing at pedestrians. But yeah. So that is the final showcase of what we did today. If you enjoyed, like, comment, subscribe, suggestions, just give them in the comments or whatever, or on Reddit if you're watching. Go play Loud or Quiet and get the Hotline Miami assets and check out all the stuff I do on Itch.io. The links will be in the description. Cheers for watching and goodbye.